Israel's war on Gaza is hitting Lebanon's economy hard. Nearly a year into the conflict, Lebanon is facing huge losses, especially in tourism.
Tourism has been hit because people are less likely to visit a country where, part of the country is actively at war.
Visitor numbers have dropped by 80%, which is a big blow to cities like Beirut and Byblos, where hotels and restaurants are shutting down. Almost 40% of the tourism businesses have closed.
Lebanon, since 2019, has been going through what the World Bank has called one of the worst financial, if not the worst, world's worst financial crisis since, in the last 150 years. In that time, of course, the war has had a devastating effect. In some neighborhoods, rents have tripled as people are fleeing the south and looking for places to stay. Of course, a number of those people are staying in community centers because they can't afford to rent elsewhere.
The situation is even worse in southern Lebanon, near the Israel border, where economic activity has fallen 50%. Farmers are struggling, with 60% of them reporting drops in production and sales. Jobs are becoming hard to find, especially in areas that rely on farming and trade.
Weapons and arms and funding to the state of Israel. So until there are any large changes on that side of things, it's hard to see how things will develop. Again, on the Lebanese side of the border, it's been 5 years now that a segment of the population is struggling. This has led to mass emigration. We've seen a huge wave of people moving and looking for job opportunities in the Arab Gulf, as well as in Europe, the United States, Canada, and even beyond in some cases.
Lebanon's economy is shrinking, with the GDP expected to fall by about 7% this year. Foreign investment has dropped by 60% as investors avoid the region due to the ongoing violence.
Lebanese society has been really hit by the economy. Now, this was something that was before the war and will now likely be exacerbated by the war, as it wasn't a situation where things were necessarily getting better, I could say, but there was maybe a sort of stabilization that has now been hit a different segment of the population even more severely.
The Lebanese Lira has lost 25% of its value, making life more expensive for everyone. The government is under pressure, struggling with the cost of security and basic services.
So what we've seen is kind of a stratification in society to an extent, where the hyper-rich, or the people who might have an income coming in from abroad, or relatives that send money from abroad, either to they'll rely on those people either to simply pay the bills, or some people might be doing that to be able to have a little bit more luxury in their lives. But then people who tend to be working class are suffering, and there are a lot of cutbacks even from people who formerly were part of the pretty healthy middle class, but now people who are relying on pensions and things of that nature that have just been completely cut down since the economy has been largely dollarized. So, for example, somebody who might before have made, a couple $1,000s a month, that was enough to, if a house is paid off and a car is paid off, that might be enough to have a comfortable life, has been cut down to just a few $100s. So people are struggling to pay for things like medicine, for food, for gas, and things of that nature.
The country is looking at a possible budget deficit of over 10% of its GDP this year, with little international aid coming in. Lebanon's economic future is uncertain as the conflict drags on.